And he paused and he said, if you're here tonight, would you come forward? We would love to pray over you. And oh gosh, I knew that was me.
Welcome to the Everyday Faith Podcast, where we believe you can live out your faith every day by starting with belief, embracing your mission, committing to obedience, and pursuing community. I'm Jess. Usually I've got Dan next to me, but today we are joined by Ashlee Assadi. Ashlee is a wife, a mom to 5 girls. She's a homemaker, an artist, a writer with a heart for cultivating beauty, simplifying faith, and helping people find hope. One of the things that I love about Ashlee's story is that it's a real story of quiet obedience, from the way God met her in one of the darkest moments of her life to faithfully investing in the gifts he's developing in her in that secret place, to now reaching millions of people. Wow. Through her writing and encouraging believers around the world. So it's such a great reminder, honestly, of how God does his greatest works oftentimes through simple, everyday faithfulness. So I'm looking forward to the conversation today. Ashlee, is so glad to have you. It's been a long time coming.
Thank you so much. I am just so honored to be here. This is really fun.
Thanks for joining us. I'm glad we could seriously make the time in the midst of all the things, family, and it's been a journey, hasn't it?
It's been a journey.
Well, if we were to rewind to take us way back, you've shared that there's one moment that changed the trajectory of your entire life, a moment you had with the Lord. Would you take us back there and share with us that first story?
Yes. Oh gosh, there's so many amazing stories, but this story in particular came at a time when I was probably at the lowest in my life. My best friend had just committed suicide, and I was just on a downward spiral.
Wow.
I was partying, I was drinking a lot, I was experimenting with different things. Mm-hmm. And the night I found out that she committed suicide, I just dropped to my knees and just prayed a simple prayer. God, if you're real, I pray that you would reveal yourself to me, because I can't do this anymore. And I had been, living life my way, however I wanted, extremely recklessly. And that moment really was my wake-up call after running from the Lord for a very long time.
Yeah.
And there are so many amazing miracles that happened along that journey.
Sure. So I can't imagine, first of all, how old were you when this happened?
21.
Oh, so, I mean, those years of discovering who you are and making sense of the world around you, and you lose your best friend.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, what you didn't know the Lord at that time, but what kinds of questions were you asking him?
I think I was just angry. I was angry. I did grow up in a Christian home. Around the time my parents got divorced, I just remember going to church and just feeling like I do not belong. I don't belong here. And just seeing people that I had, grown up in church with starting to talk about us behind our backs, saying like, oh, they're a broken home, stay away from them, stuff like that. And I remember leaving church as, a 16-year-old girl and being like, if this is what church and God is all about, I want nothing to do with this.
Sure. Why would you if it's not a place that actually feels loving and welcoming, right?
Right.
The way that you were told it's supposed to be, right? Or this God who they supposedly love and loves them. What if they can't be loving to me? Why would I go?
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, so you found out that your best friend had taken her own life. What happened from there? Many
small miracles happened after that. So I prayed that prayer, fell asleep in my own tears, and then woke up the next day, and I was going to cosmetology school at the time. And so I ended up just getting ready to go to school, and I was working behind the chair, and I ended up showing up super early. And my first client of the day was this young college student that I had never seen before. And he walked in like super bubbly, full of joy, sat down, and immediately just said, "Hi, I don't know you, but I feel like God sent me here today." And immediately I was like, okay. And he said, I don't know what, where you're at with your faith, but I feel like you need to go back to church and, or go to church. And he, yeah, I did the fastest haircut I've ever done on anyone because I was so weirded out. I was like,
Get this guy out of my seat.
This is crazy. What is this kid saying? And
did you write it off?
I did. Yeah, I did. I wrote it off. I was like, this is weird. This kid is, he's a Christian. He's super bubbly and joyful, and maybe it's fake. I don't know.
Sure. Just a weirdo Christian.
Just a weirdo. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just kept pressing in. And he just was very persistent. Like, no, I feel like you're supposed to go to church. Like, and he kept asking me questions that I was very uncomfortable answering. Like, do you go to church? And, I ended up sharing with him like, no, I don't. And, he just was very persistent, which was a beautiful thing. That's what I needed. And
what happened next? Did you end up bending to that and saying, well, I mean, I guess I'll go to church?
So before he left, he just said, I feel like someone's going to invite you to church and you should go with them. Like it was a divine prophetic word. Yeah. I am certain of it because it was so specific and so for me. But at the time, I did not see that. I was just thinking, wow, this guy's super weird and let's get you out the door. But about 2 weeks later, I received a call from my cousin who just moved to town. And he ended up calling me and inviting me to church. And he said, would you like to come to church with me? And my response was no. Even after that, I was like, no, I don't want to go to church. But he was like, okay. And he said, well, what about like a worship night? Like this new church has a worship night. Would you be comfortable? It's just music. And I was like, okay, fine.
Just music. I'll go for just music.
I'll go for just music. A worship night. That's great. And yeah, so I ended up showing up to the very first worship night that this church had put on.
Oh, funny.
And it was at the U of M at the University of Minnesota. And it was amazing. And I remember walking in, and there was probably like 100 people, 150 people there maybe. And I remember walking in and just hearing the worship music and sitting down in my seat. And I was just weeping. Like I didn't know, like the Holy Spirit was moving inside of me. Like I was just weeping, and I didn't know why. But it was powerful.
Okay, so it was a powerful night of worship. Was there anything else that happened at that event?
Yes. So halfway through the worship night, the pastor got on stage, Pastor Peter Haas, and he ended up looking into the crowd after he, welcomed everyone, and he was extremely joyful and just very loving. Like he just exuded love.
He has a fun and loving energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he got on stage halfway through the worship set, and he paused for a minute, and he just said, you know, I feel like there is a girl here tonight that just experienced the loss of someone really close to her. And I want you to know that God loves you, and he heard your prayer. And he paused and he said, if you're here tonight, would you come forward? We would love to pray over you. And oh gosh, I knew that was me. I knew. And I waited to see, is anyone else going to go forward? And finally, like, I ended up going forward, and everyone in the entire auditorium laid hands on me and prayed over me that night. And I gave my life to Jesus, and I never looked back.
Wow. That's incredible. I can't imagine a moment like that where it's so, were you were hesitant to go down, right? Like maybe someone else will go. Maybe I don't have to, you know, feels like it's for me, but maybe I don't actually have to go down.
Right.
You had that moment of like,
yes. Yes, I did.
Right. Wow. That's incredible. So, okay. So did you leave there a totally changed person?
Yeah. So I remember, I remember just feeling this peace that I hadn't felt in a really long time. And just a desire to know God.
Yeah.
And I remember just devouring the Bible in those early days, like just really diving in and just being so hungry for God's word. And I ended up walking away from the lifestyle that I was living of, you know, partying and hanging out with friends I probably shouldn't hang out with. Mm-hmm. And it was actually, this story is coming to me and I'll share it. It's a little sad, but I got saved and I walked away from, you know, the lifestyle I was living. Yeah. And my best friend had just committed suicide, and it was my 21st birthday. And so I remember inviting a couple people, and it was just dinner at a restaurant. Mm-hmm. And because I had invited like old friends that I had known, but because I was saved, they were a little iffy of sure of this change. Uh-huh. And so it was my 21st birthday. I got to the restaurant and no one showed up.
Wow.
Yeah. I was alone.
Wow.
And that really, you know, started this journey of, Lord, I am 100% dependent on you. And like, I need you every step of the way.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to do this on my own.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to church the next Sunday, and there was a call for anyone that wanted to go on a missions trip. And the missions trip was to Monterrey, Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I literally signed up to go on that missions trip just to get friends. Because I thought,
I can meet somebody,
I can meet
something
someone
in common.
Yes.
Sign me up.
And so I signed up for that missions trip just to meet friends, and you know, ended up going a couple months later, and I ended up meeting some of my best friends at the time, and moved in with really them, a great group of Christian girls that I ended up moving in with afterwards, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. You know, there's someone who needs to hear that, because whatever the hard season is, right, or the lonely season, maybe it's somebody who's trying to make a change in their life, and it's like, well, Lord, I really don't want to give that up, because if I do, I'm going to lose everything that I know, everything that's comfortable, everybody that I know.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe it's turning to the church and something organized through the church. Maybe there's some other avenue, but, you know, I think a lot of people have bad things to say about the church these days.
Yeah.
And I agree. The church doesn't always get it right. There's a lot of silly stuff that we do that is not necessarily biblical, you know? It might not be against the Bible, but it's not necessarily in the Bible either. Right? But
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of people that have turned away from the church for one reason or another, that maybe that is your first, your next best, your best next step. Maybe it is to turn back to the church, you know?
Yeah.
That's so great. You found some of your best friends there. Signing up for a missions trip. I mean, what did you have to lose?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I had nothing to lose.
Wow. Okay. Well, now, fast forwarding just a little bit, someone in your life also came to know the Lord, or their life was turned around. Can you share about that progression?
Yes. Oh gosh. So when I got saved, I ended up, like I said, devouring the word. And then I got to the point where I was like, I think I want to be baptized. I think, baptism is really cool, and that's my next step. I want to be baptized. And this family that took me under their wing, the Rampy family, they are phenomenal, just so amazing at discipling people, and I learned so much from them. But they ended up having just a small baptism event in their backyard using their hot tub. So I got baptized in a hot tub. And it was great. It was nice and warm in Minnesota.
Wow. Amazing.
And at my baptism, my mom was actually there. And she was just starting to wrestle with her faith. And it was at my baptism that she decided to make the decision to follow Jesus with her whole heart. And a couple months later, she ended up getting baptized. And it was my husband and I that were able to, my fiance at the time, I don't know if we were married yet, but we ended up being able to help baptize her at the church that we were attending.
That's incredible. So what was that like for you to see your mom going through this transformation? You'd already said, okay, Lord, I'm all in. And she was starting to consider your faith, or her faith, you said. What was that like? What was your relationship with her like? Did you see much kind of her spirituality before that? Or is this when it really just started to come alive?
Yeah, she kind of had a similar walk to me, when we ended up, right after my parents got divorced, and we ended up just feeling like we don't really belong at the church we were going to. We ended up, on a similar journey. She ended up going a very similar path that I went, and she was walking the same road and going out and partying, and she would tell you the same thing. She actually now, she is a phenomenal believer. She has written books. She has her PhD in marriage and family therapy. She has done so many phenomenal things with her life too.
Wow. Okay. So you ended up baptizing your mom.
Yes.
What that had to have been in just the most emotional. I would have been a puddle of tears.
Yes, absolutely. Anything generationally, that you can be a part of. This last year, 2 years ago, I watched my daughter get baptized as well. And anything generationally that you can see God moving is so beautiful.
I think you're onto something. There's something in us that I think the Lord put in us, right? When we can feel the gravity of the generational impact. And when we see it happening, we can't turn away. There's something that stirs up inside of us. There's more meaning, right? I think it's pretty clear that it's in our design to really just be pulled toward that and to want to feed into that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, anything being able to pour into and leave a legacy of faith
Yeah.
is really important to my heart. And I feel like, yeah, just when I think about growing old and looking back on my life, I think I would be really happy if I could leave a legacy of faith.
Right. What better legacy to leave, huh?
Right.
Well, looking back, man, you've been a Christian now for quite a while. And are there any moments that you had to really lean in with obedience in some of those maybe earlier years of being a newer Christian?
Yes. I mean, I'll tell you the missions trip story if you would like to hear
Sure.
that. So that was my
sounds
first.
like it was pretty formational. Is that the word?
Very formational and very formational early on. To really rely on the Lord and feel like, yeah, there are things that he was just orchestrating behind the scenes, whether that be friends or like growing me in my faith. And I showed up to the missions trip to Mexico. We ended up driving a bus to Mexico. We got there, and the entire Mexico missions trip, the whole theme of it was healing.
Wow.
Okay. So if being a new believer, I was so uncomfortable. I was like, I don't know. Does this happen? It's in the Bible. I have read about it. And
I've never seen it. I've never been.
I've never seen it. And so we got to Monterey, and literally every person that we saw, we would pray over. If they needed physical healing, if they had, something going on in their body, whatever it was, we prayed over everyone for a week straight.
Yeah.
The very last day that we were there, I think it was the last day or second to last day. It doesn't matter. But we ended up doing a food and clothing drive in a small village in the mountains. And I ended up, they split us, our whole team up, and we had to go knock on people's doors and invite them to this food and clothing drive.
Sure.
Offering people a warm meal and clothes, and then we would share about Jesus afterwards.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, me and two other people, we were assigned to a couple houses in the village. They were kind of like mud huts, I would say, like not
Not what we picture.
Yes.
Otherwise as a house.
Yes,
in a town.
Exactly. So we went and knocked on the door of this home, and the lady that opened the door was visibly blind.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if you've ever seen cataracts before, but her eyes were completely like white cloudy. She could not see. She wasn't even like looking in our, direction.
Sure.
And we just shared with her, like, hey, would you like to come to this food and clothing drive? And she said, I can't make it because I can't see, but would you guys be willing to bring me food afterwards? And we agreed to bring her food after. And so the event ended, and we brought her a warm meal after. And then the leader of our trip asked, do you mind if we pray for you? Can we pray for your eyesight? And she had explained that she had been blind for a very long time. And she just told us her story.
Did she have any hope? Or was she like, I'll let you pray, but
she didn't, I don't recall her having much hope. It just kind of being like, it is what it is.
I can see that. I can get it.
Yeah. And so we started praying, and our whole team gathered around her, and I'm nervous, okay? Because you pray for healing for eyesight. I mean, That's
Right.
like visible healing.
You're
Okay.
thinking either it's going to happen or it's not.
Yes. So I'm nervous. I start pacing. I'm like, okay, God, I pray that you show up right now. And so we just press in and we start praying for her eyes, and, nothing is happening. And like halfway through our prayer, our leader, he ends up asking a random question like, does anyone have a bottle of water? And someone handed him a bottle of water, and he pours the water into the dirt on the ground, and he makes mud. Okay.
Wait a second. I've seen this before.
Yes.
I've read this before.
Yes. Okay. So
he's going to make some mud. He's going
to make some mud. And I am like sweating at this point. Like, okay, we're going to make mud. And he puts the mud on her eyes. And he's like, just close your eyes. And he puts the mud on her eyes. And we start praying. And I'm praying so hard, like, God, please heal her. And I'm like at the simple prayer point right now. Like, okay, Lord, you're either going to do this or you're not.
You don't have fancy words?
I have no fancy words. I have nothing.
Please, God. And that's, fair.
And he ends up wiping the mud off of her eyes. Mm-hmm. She opens her eyes, and they are clear as day. No cloudiness.
Wow.
Nothing. Clear as day. And she starts weeping. And we can visibly see. Okay.
Can you imagine that for her? To open your eyes and you haven't seen in years, and she's seeing clearly.
Yes. And so we can visibly see, like, wow, her eyes are clear. Oh my gosh. And she starts weeping, like just crying uncontrollably. And then she starts naming things out that she can see. I can see the color of your blue eyes. I can see, like, very specific, detailed things about each person to let us know. I think this was actually God letting us know, like, you see, I did a miracle. And it, like, that, in that moment, my faith was through the roof. I was like, God can do anything.
Yeah. You'd never seen healing. You knew it was a thing in the Bible. I mean, honestly, then the Bible plays out right before you with the mud and everything.
Yes.
That's so cool. And that's a really beautiful picture. I think it's just fun the way that the woman pointed out the very specific things about someone. I see your dark hair.
Yes.
I see your bright blue eyes.
Yes.
I feel like God sees us that way too. It's pretty cool that he restored her vision to mimic the way that he sees us so clearly. He sees all the details of our lives. All the details. Whether it's good or bad, he sees it, and he's in it. He's there with us. That's kind of a fun aspect of that too, I think. Well, Ashlee, as we wrap up today, there's someone listening who's wondering if God can see them in those dark places, those lonely places. What advice or encouragement would you share with them today?
I feel like I'm just in a season where I am seeing God work in the small things, in the everyday things, in the things that feel overlooked, and things that no one else would see.
Yeah.
Like, even just the small act of obedience of getting up early before my children do, and praying and reading my Bible and just listening for the Lord. I feel like God is in the details. He cares about the details of our lives, but also the small things are not unseen.
Yeah.
Making a meal for your family, doing laundry, doing dishes for the 100th time that day.
Yeah.
If you're a mom, that's so real. But I heard this analogy It's like a parallel that motherhood is similar to a monk in a monastery. The same level of sanctification can take place. And I hadn't heard that or thought of that before, but the same way that a monk goes into a monastery and has his small room that he closes the door and has the quiet peacefulness of being able to study God's word and then being able to serve his brothers in the monastery as well. That same parallel can be so related to motherhood, maybe not the quiet part.
I hear you on that one.
But I feel like there is a sanctification that can happen if you are obedient in the small things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whether that's welcoming your family to the table for dinner, and it doesn't have to be a big meal. Or maybe it's praying for your marriage while you're folding the laundry. Or putting worship music on while you're doing the dishes and just creating an atmosphere of worship in your home. I think God sees the small things and works in those small things as well.
Well, Ashlee, thank you for joining us for part 1. And I can't wait for part 2. I know we'll talk a little bit more about, what it looks like to be obedient and to allow the Lord to grow you. And so be sure to join us for part 2 next time.
Thanks so much, Jess.
Thank you for listening to this conversation from the Everyday Faith Podcast. Our goal is to inspire everyday faith conversations. Please join us by rating and reviewing wherever you're listening, and most importantly, by sharing with a friend. For more resources like this, visit our website, askaboutmyfaith.com. God bless you as you live out your faith in your everyday rhythms of life.